Our final presenter is Traci Tackett with Pikeville Independent. She's our GT teacher, and her project is Planet for the Planet. You'll notice in the program that she does have the STARS grant and the ARI grant, so you may hear a little bit of both on this one.
I was told I was supposed to present on the ARI school garden, and so I sent in the presentation and everything for that, and then I found out Friday they wanted me to present with students on the CMPS project. So I apologize. I thought I knew way up front what I was doing, but my students are set up downstairs, and I will throw in bits of their project into this because they overlap somewhat. But our CMPS project is an extension in places from our garden, and so this presentation is intended to be for those of you who are interested in school gardening. And this year we were very successful in growing vegetables at our school with low energy. We don't have a fancy greenhouse, no heat sources, very low cost, and a lot of our success was due to Kathy Raymeyer, our mentor, who works at the University of Pikeville, and she is an expert fall and winter gardener, and she gave us tips on what plants would grow in the fall and winter months, because obviously as a teacher I don't have time in the summer to go grow a garden at school. And her method is we grow vegetables during the winter months, and it seems unreal, but if you start early by following these successful tips that we found, have your beds ready when school starts, have the soil prepped, have the seeds ready to be put in the ground really quickly, and get started planting as soon as school starts. So we were planting around August 15th, our second week into school. I had kids out in the garden putting seeds in. Our beds are themed gardens. We have a rainbow kale bed because last year we experimented a little bit and learned the kids love kale. That's a plant they've never eaten, but now they love it. It has a salad bar, a coleslaw, and a stir-fry garden, and those were some of the plants we had success with. The raised beds, we had this little rolling hill and we wanted to landscape it for the garden, and our beds are 12 feet by 4 feet. That works good because little arms can reach over to the middle to harvest and plant. And these are examples of the garden plans. This is the rainbow kale, and rainbow kale is not a variety, but it's planted in arches, and so each of those variety of kales make one of the arches in the rainbow. And then in the corners of the bed we planted mosh, which is a plant that only germinates when the weather gets really cold, and then it grows all winter uncovered. You don't even have to cover that plant, so it was a really good winter crop. And the stir-fry garden, that is what we used for the stir-fry lesson that Kathy came and did with the students. And we had everything from peas, broccoli, everything that was in that first picture you saw. When it came time to plant, I have a small group because I'm gifted ed, but even if I was working with a large classroom of kids, I would divide them into smaller groups, and each child would get to plant, but not everyone would be planting the same thing. So some kids would be planting kale, others would be planting the broccoli, but they all got to participate. And that started at the beginning. We had the soil in place, and the kids went out there and loosened it up, and we got started planting. Now here's where my junior high CMPS project comes into play. You can see the junior high students. One of their ideas was to, instead of, actually our project is working with the homeless shelter to create more self-sufficient individuals, and one of their other ideas was to work with special needs population students. So they came over and learned about fall and winter gardening and brought the special needs kids with them. But then they ended up planting a fall and winter garden at the homeless shelter. So that was one part of their project. The big thing was for the students to learn to differentiate weeds from actual plants because they had not participated in gardening very much. But a brassica is the type of plant that we grew, the majority of, and they start out with that bow tie shape. And so the kids learned that if it has the bow tie shape, even after it starts getting other leaves, they can look down, and if they see that bow tie, they know don't pull that plant. And that's kind of our little test. Thinning was important. Here you can see Kathy doing the stir-fry lesson, and everything that she used pretty much came from that stir-fry bed, which was the second one in the picture, and it came from the thinnings, just things we cut back. Winter gardening has very little pests. There aren't very many insects or bugs that will give you the problems that you have in the summer gardens. But cabbage worms were the one pest we had to learn to identify, and we looked for their droppings and holes in the leaves, and we knew we had problems, so that's how we picked those critters. The beauty of fall and winter gardening is you have the low tunnels that you cover when the temperatures get 27 degrees or lower, and it's just made of PVC pipe that goes across the beds, and then we use the Grow Guard fabric to cover them, and that was purchased with our grant monies. And you can see kids out there teaching their classmates. That became a big thing because kids who weren't in the GT program still wanted to be a part of it, so we've let them bring out their classmates and did peer teachings. Harvesting was one of their favorite things. We harvested, you can see the school salad sign. The kids harvested and served salad in our cafeteria 20 days throughout the winter months. In fact, we had salad last week, and it's a favorite. Some kids will only eat salad when that sign is up. Learning extensions from this have just gone crazy. We have created worm farms, and that's another extension of our community problem solving, is the kids implemented a worm farm at the homeless shelter so they could enrich their soil, the same as we are at school. We have a composting system at school where we use the cafeteria organic waste along with leaves and grass clippings that the kids gather up so that in the fall we can use our own compost. Our latest extension is a pollinator garden that's going to be located in an ugly weedy spot next to our vegetable garden, and the kids are learning about the importance of pollinators, and we're hoping to attract mason bees, a non-stinging bee, and butterflies. Writing, I've never seen kids want to grab a journal and start writing in all my years of teaching, but they are so excited to write down what they did, and they're so proud to write about things that even their parents don't know that much about, and illustrate and label, and so writing has been a great connection. A video library is another part of our community problem solving project in helping the homeless know how to implement fall and winter gardening. They needed resources, and we couldn't be there to teach them what we were learning all the time. So the junior high class partnered with the 6th grade students, and they created a video library that has a multitude of videos about gardening topics, how to harvest worm castings and how to use them in the garden, how to build a low tunnel. And so those are on our school website if you're interested. And we've gotten a lot of attention this year just because people are interested in gardening, and we've had some success by harvesting vegetables in February, and the months we've had so much snow. But there's a lot of blog posts that you can find about us, and they're connected to our school's website. And here you can see the students from August when they planted to our first lessons on how to weed and harvest, to our great big snowstorm, and then still harvesting in April. And we have planted a few things in spring, but overall we are focused on fall and winter gardening. That's when kids are in school, that's when it makes sense, that's when you don't have as many weeds, you don't have as many bugs. It's just the best time we feel to garden with students. And because we've been asked so much about this, the students are going to be hosting a workshop. This is for parents because so many kids have asked for gardens for Christmas, gardens for their birthday. Parents are saying, can we use a pot? What are we going to do? We have to garden with our kids because they are demanding it. And so we have a workshop on April the 30th for teachers, those parents, and other teachers from other schools who want to learn more about this topic. And if you can't join us live at 3:30 on April 30th at our school, then you could join us through a link session, and we're going to try to make that work so that you can see kids out teaching about low tunnels and that kind of thing. But getting back to the community problem solving project, the students wanted to build self-sufficiency with the homeless community, and our focus was what can we do and implement that we don't have to do it anymore. Once we have put this in place, we can step away and it will still be functioning. And so the students went on a field trip to the homeless shelter and learned that they are not able to use the public library because they don't have a permanent residence and they can't get a library card. So they wanted to implement a library at the Women and Children's Shelter. And then when they found out they have raised beds that are used for summer planting, they thought, hey, we're learning about fall and winter gardening, why don't we do that for the men's shelter? So their project is twofold, and it's trying to assist the women who are going back to school to have this library of resources, and they did a book drive that raised over 2,000 books. They cataloged them just like the library with the spine labels and everything. The children who are in the shelter, they have access to reading materials, and then we have quite a bit of reference materials that were donated, college textbooks and things for the women. And then the library, video library for the men's shelter, and teaching them about kale and mustard and the plants that we put in there in the fall, how to cook with them. And it's been very positive. The students went to state competition, won first place in the middle school division, and will be competing in Iowa. So we're excited about that. And if you are interested in gardening, they have a worm farm down there at their table. They're dressed in green. And any questions? I know that was a lot.